I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. This video is a little bit choppy, but hang on through the end and you'll likely learn how to test your alternator on this truck. I figure I'd capture this on video. It's a 2001 Ford Ranger with the 4.2. Battery light was just flickering on and off, so that would be a symptom. Maybe it might be hard to track down. Looks like it's steady on now. It's in 5th gear. And if I drop her into 4th, there we go, get her spinning a little higher. Now let's dump it down and let it, there we go. Okay, we're back at the shop now. So we're kind of just doing a little bit more of a visual inspection. Without grabbing on harnesses and pulling everything because we don't know what's wrong yet. So I guess first thing is, you can just kind of look at the terminals, look at the back of the alternator here, see if everything's clipped in and everything like that. Nothing's out of sorts. And again, we found that this alternator's cracked here. Make sure that the belt is wrapped around the pulley on the alternator. Make sure there's good tension on it. Just to show you the before, battery negative, and this is battery positive, and we're getting 12.2. Let's go. Oh, and I apologize, guys. I know this should have been a part of the preliminary checks, is you want to make sure that the alternator is grounded to the engine and the engine is grounded to the chassis. So what you can do is just do a ground to ground kind of voltage drop testing, and what you'll do is battery ground to case ground, and if that lights, you have a ground issue, okay, because it's got enough power on the ground side to light this test light. So it's got such a crappy ground that it's trying to ground through here instead of these big old fat wires that are running everywhere. Okay, so that was a preliminary check. I apologize for that. This will be about 300 millivolts, this test light. It's incandescent. So it just puts a little load on that wire. So I'm just placing the test light on that circled cable you see there, that B terminal on the alternator. So we'll test it on the battery first. And it should be bright, and you'll get used to the difference of the brightness of it. But on a thick cable like this battery cable, let's see if I can do it without arcing. Where am I? Come on, friend. There we go. All right, so it can carry, 300 millivolts. I don't think that's what the problem is. It doesn't look like it's in great shape, but just by how it's how this whole thing is going, it can carry voltage. That wire's intact. The alternator has physical damage. Let's keep moving on. Okay, so this is really hard to film here. Got a bunch of wires in the way, but I just wanted to show you here the back of this alternator and the regulator and everything. So this is the stud that we were testing, and make sure you touch, see the stupid light, make sure you touch on that stud, not the bolt. You see how this is kind of crusty and stuff, but I'm not gonna get all excited about it. So let's see, this top one here, this is light green and red, and this can vary. That's okay. That's going to be your battery indicator control. It gets grounded. That'll turn your battery light on. This middle one is white and black, and that is your stator circuit. So that's gonna tell when it goes right on over to here, and that's gonna tell the alternator to charge. Depending on what the regulator says. And then this wire here is orange and light blue on this vehicle, and that should be hot at all times. So we want to check that one first. Let's see what's going on there, and that's what I'll be doing. Okay, now we're going to check that power wire, and I'm just going to use a little T-pin you can get from like a little arts and crafts store, and I'm going to just follow that wire down. I'm back probing it. Not piercing the wire, not piercing the weather stripping. You just kind of follow it in there. It's feeling a little weird right now, so I'm going to adjust my position sink it in there. You'll feel it hit, and then you'll check here to check if you see battery voltage. Okay, and we do. It's 11.4. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. 11.4. You know, that system voltage dropping right now. It's always going to be a little lower than when you're checking from the battery. Okay, so now we're going to check that battery indicator lamp circuit and make sure that's kind of functioning the way we would expect. That's the light green and red wire on top. Now I want to be able to see it from the cab, but I'm working by myself, which is generally the case. So I'm just going to put an alligator clip, and with this test light, I have it so you can kind of hook into different things and make it longer. We'll do a female to male connection there. And let's see. With a key on, this should light if I go to battery positive. Is the key on? I don't know. Yes, it is. I'm gonna put this up on the dashboard because the symptom of this truck is if you rev it up around 2 grand, the light goes out, which is leaning me more towards kind of an alternator issue. But let's go in the cab and I'll show you. We'll start it up and see what happens. Inside the cab with the key on, and you can see the lights on. That's normal, you know, when you're doing your little bulb check. But let's see what happens here. Oh, she's starting a little slower, and battery lights on. Check. Airbags doing its checks. That's off, and the battery light's staying on. And you can see our test light there is staying on. So let's rev this up to see. Oh, the light went out. Okay. So when that light goes out, you can't see it, but watch. When I rev it up, that light will go out. That light will go out. Okay. That just confirms our circuit there, which we kind of already knew, but we're just showing you. This is that stator circuit here that I have pierced, and what we'll do is we'll hook it up to the lab scope and see what she says there. And likely we'll have no activity when the battery light's on, but when we rev it up, we're probably going to get some activity. We'll be able to record that and review the data. Okay, so as in the case, the alternator is now no longer intermittent. It is not charging at all. Here's where I was just verifying my test leads, and here's the little bit of noise that we have it hooked up to that stator wire. Excuse me, it's almost lunchtime, and that's all we were getting. We should be getting about at least half of battery voltage. A 96 Ford here, different engine, all that good stuff. You can see that stator wire right here. It goes from the regulator to the alternator right there. We're gonna pierce that, and we should be getting some sort of signal there. Okay, and then we'll come back in, put a little liquid electrical tape. Should be good as gold. Okay, the truck's been running for a little bit, and I have this on duty cycle, and it is at 50% duty cycle. Volts DC. Okay, and then you can see that was the voltage that I was kind of describing before. It's half the battery voltage is what you should see there. Okay, so this is what we know so far. We verified that the alternator was intermittently charging when we revved up the RPMs. We verified that there was power on the wire to the alternator regulator. We verified the bulb circuit is good. We checked the B post, that large gauge wire, for power at the alternator. However, we are getting no voltage signal on the black and white stator wire. So it's new alternator time. Okay, so threw a new alternator in there. Not too big of a deal. a couple nuts and bolts. You're sitting right there live at 12.5 volts. So let's hook back into that stator circuit, and we should see this thing on a duty cycle pretty much at 100%. That's going to be the white and the black wire. Okay. Get that guy going. Okay. Maybe I can set you guys up on this screen. Bear with me. You're not really gonna. You can kind of see. Not too bad. Is it recording? Okay. Here we go. We got some activity. All right, so remember that should be reading about half a battery voltage, which it is. Let me get up real close to you here. So let's go to duty cycle and see what she's pushing out. She's at 50% duty cycle right now. Okay, and let's check the charging status. See what she's charging at. I could have done this all with this one tool, but I just was trying to show with the test light and stuff. I mean, once you saw a crack in the, I'll show it to you. Once you see the crack in the alternator piece, I mean, and you got the battery light on, odds are pretty good. Alright, so then, again, we're tapping to the stator at 7.5. Now let's go take it out of there, hook this on to battery positive, and hopefully she'll be over 13.5. And she is 14.3, happy with that. Let's move you on over here. And here's your alternator. She wasn't doing too well. Wasn't feeling very good. Let's see if the battery lights out. The battery lights out. We're good to go. Any final thoughts on the video? The only thing you might not be able to look at is that stator, you know, duty cycle on that. It looked like it was putting out a square wave, guys. I really didn't even look it up, to be honest with you. But what you could do is hook that up to your voltmeter and see if you're seeing half of battery voltage. And that would signify that your voltage regulator and stator are essentially working. Don't take that to the bank with me, but you know, it puts you more in the bank of I need a new alternator. So there we go. Till next time.